See, is there anything else in here that was new? I was going to look at the system testing, that's right. Oh! That was a really horrible noise. I am very sorry about that. Good day folks, Jordan here, and welcome to another software overview video. Today we're looking at Ubuntu 9.04 Jaunty Jackalope, released on the 23rd of April 2009. Now this particular release of Ubuntu was notable for having faster boot time, which they even advertised on their website, which we will take a look at here in a little bit. It also featured a new splash screen on startup, which had a thinner looking progress bar and a smaller Ubuntu logo. You'll see that when we look at booting the operating system up, and you'll see what I mean. There's also new themes, and there's also a different font that you visually see when you actually start it up. There's a different theme, a lot clearer, a lot bigger. You can actually read it a lot easier. It looks much better than the old one, in my opinion. There's also a new login screen, which we will take a look at when we also explore the operating system. A lot of stuff visually is new, as well as, well, trying to be a lot fresher. I don't know why I was going with that one. My apologies. 9.04 of Ubuntu was the first release to also support ARM. In this case, the ARM v5EL and ARM v6EL-VFP. I'm not sure what those mean in particular. I'm sure there's some scientist in the comments section who's probably raging at his keyboard telling me, oh, this is what this CPU is and blah, 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 blah. So I'm sure I'm probably screwing up some kind of technical term there. There's also an interesting addition with the integration of web services and apps on the desktop interface. I don't know what they mean by that. We'll have to explore that when we get into the operating system and see what kind of services were in there and if they still connect or whatever. That'll be interesting. And also there's a new notification system called Notify OSD. I'm not sure what notifications ran through that system, but I suppose if there is any notifications, we will see them. There's also support for Wacom tablets, so if you had a Wacom tablet, then you could plug it in and it would be, for the most part, natively supported. I'm not sure what models, but I guess the ones from around maybe 2007 through 2009, or maybe even later ones, maybe, would work just fine. I don't know about the later, like the newer ones, like even today's modern Wacom tablets, if they would even work. Although, obviously, you'd run a later Linux distro if you're going to run a newer Wacom tablet, of course. That's just common sense. And one last thing that I thought was pretty interesting was Ubuntu's core development was moved to the Bazaar Distributed Revision Control System. And I believe this was some kind of GNU or GNU-based license thing. We'll have to explore that real quick here. I have a thing in Safari open, so let's go look at GNU Bazaar. And I believe there is a Wikipedia article that you can take a look at here, which talks about the whole, let's see. It's obviously able to be used by a single developer working on multiple branches or teams across the network. So my guess is that this is some kind of like standardized development control or whatever that allows you to make one particular piece of code and have it work across multiple software versions or something. I'm not entirely sure. I need to read this myself if I were to figure it all out. This isn't the only thing also that you would have to look up. You would need to look up the Distributed Revision Control System. And there is also a Wikipedia article on that which you could read, which talks about that as well. Both the Bazaar and the Distributed Revision Control System, those both play a role in tandem together to try to make updates more consistent, I guess, or something like that. I'm not entirely sure. Again, I'd have to read up on that, but I'm sure there's some keyboard warrior whiz-banging in the comments section right now as we're listening to me blabbing in front of my screen who's telling me, oh, you're explaining all this stuff wrong. Well, I'm not perfect, so I'm just looking at a particular release of an operating system, because I'm just an average Joe who's doing this. I'm learning as I go, so forgive me. I'm a slow learner at this sort of stuff with Linux and in general, so forgive me. Anyway, before we take a look at the operating system, of course, it is tradition that we take a look at the old website, which I think actually looks pretty cool. So let's go ahead and we'll bring back up Safari here, and let's go load the Internet Archive Wayback Machine. and we will go explore the Ubuntu 9.04 website. And I'll show you how I do it, of course, in case anybody else in the viewing audience is interested in wanting to learn how not to type a web link, but also to figure out how the Ubuntu website looks throughout the years. They probably get ahead of me, of course, if I show them this, which I'll probably be like way into the future by the time you're watching this video. So anyway, we'll go to the launch date of Ubuntu 9.04, which is again the 23rd of April 2009. And as you can see, we can save time and boot faster and get productive with the latest apps and enjoy an improved user experience. Ubuntu 9.04 Desktop Edition. What's also really cool is this little animation here actually works. This is another thing we'll get into here in just a second, but there's the Server Edition banner. Virtualization enhancements boost productivity, packed with new features for common workloads, introducing Ubuntu Enterprise Cloud, Ubuntu 9.04 Server Edition. Now, I believe Enterprise Cloud, I don't know if it launched with this version of 9.04 Ubuntu or if it's just a retouting of a previously introduced feature, but I think Enterprise Cloud started with this release of Ubuntu, hence why they're advertising it on their website. And then also, there's Netbook Remix. I mentioned this in a previous video where I talked about how Ubuntu 9.04 Netbook Remix was designed for small screens, weak CPUs, lack of RAM, and all that sort of stuff. And what's really interesting is that this download page actually kind of works still. That's interesting. Interestingly, it only mentions an Intel Atom processor. It doesn't mention the ancient Celeron M's that were like the 900 megahertz netbook grade Celerons, or the underclocked Celeron M's that were stuck in the really early netbooks, or the VSC7M, which was around at the time, which was a pretty infamous weak and slow CPU, which was featured in a product such as the HP Mini Note 2133, was unfortunately stolen. It's a beautiful machine, and it was actually kind of cool to watch. And it was actually running its original install of Windows Vista Business. Yes, the one and only netbook that ran Windows Vista when it was new. And I don't have one anymore, which is really unfortunate. But I suppose that's just how life goes. Life moves on. UNR has been testing the following popular models. Interesting. In the desktop edition, what does it say we need? It says we need a blank CD and the ability to burn blank CDs, a modern Intel or AMD compatible computer, and at least 256 megs of RAM. Interestingly, the desktop edition doesn't make you have as much RAM as the Netbook Remix, but I believe at this time, Unity was only on Netbook Remix. Yes, Unity did exist back then. I don't know which particular distribution it launched on, but I believe it was either 8.10 or 9.04 that introduced the Unity desktop environment on Ubuntu Netbook Remix. And if that's something that you all are interested in having me explore here on this little software tours series of Ubuntu, let me know down below in the comments section, and I will be happy to find an old download link of Ubuntu Netbook Remix, and we will take a look at it. But you can see it features not only 9.04, the latest versions, but it also features 8.04 long-term support still there. But I don't know why you'd want to download that so late in its life, but I guess it kind of makes sense. Obviously, I don't think these download links will even work because it's so old. Obviously, this is the Internet Archive, but it's still pretty neat to see that this still loads. Let's see what about the Server Edition, since we're looking at the minimum requirements here. What do I need to create and use my Ubuntu CD? Same basic thing. And as you can see, it also mentions Ubuntu 8.04 LTS server. Now, ideally, if you're running this on a server, I would expect there to only be an LTS release, every 2 years for a server. I don't understand why you'd want to run a particular release of Ubuntu that only gets like 18 months of support, and then you have to upgrade the whole server. That's just kind of back-asswards in my opinion, but, hey, it's your computer. You do what the hell you want. And interestingly, this one defaults to 64-bit, and it's recommended for most server configurations, but there's also a 32-bit option still there, whereas on the Netbook Remix and desktop, they default to 32-bit, but give you the option to go 64-bit, at least at this time. So, very interesting. So, I say that's enough of the website. There's really not much else to explore that I can see that's really beneficial to this video. So with that out of the way, let's go ahead and let's start up a virtual machine and explore Ubuntu 9.04. Alright, so here is the usual boot menu, so we're going to select English, and this looks identical to Ubuntu 8.10. Of course, this just jumps straight in. There's no more progress bar saying loading the Linux kernel, of course, but, there's just that charm from the older Ubuntus with that old little loading bar. I don't know, that's just me. Anyway, apparently we were pulling an IBM 5150 until we can see the new boot screen. Now, this still uses Unsplash. This just has a different look to it. As you can see, the typical Ubuntu back and forth progress loading thing was still there, but it's a thinner progress bar now, and the logo's a lot smaller. The startup sounds and whatnot are still the same. The interface generally is still the same as 8.10, but you can notice the new font is a lot bigger and clearer and easier to read, and there's also a Bluetooth icon up there now, apparently. I don't remember when they started doing that. It's been a while since I've started doing these videos, if I'm going to be honest about everything. But first things first, we got to get to installing, so obviously we got to get that done first, and this setup is really squished vertically. I think it's because of the fact that it's running at such a low resolution. You might fix that here. So let's see, under display, and let's give ourselves a little more resolution here, 1280 by 720. Oops, and I pressed cancel like an idiot. I need to learn to press the OK button, or in this case, apply. Good refresh rate. We got that good old 0 hertz. That's perfect. So yes, I want to keep that. Alright, and then kind of make this a little bigger so I can actually see what I'm doing. We're not in New York. We are in Los Angeles, technically in that time zone. And of course, USA keyboard layout. I don't remember if I actually talked about this in my last video. I might have, and I just forgot. But Ubuntu 8.10, or maybe it was this one, I'm not entirely sure, introduced these new graphs where you could actually check your disk space before you actually installed your operating system to see what was still on your drive and how much space approximately something would take up. I don't remember if that was in the last one. I might have mentioned it. My memory is really horrible, so my apologies for that. If you're watching this video in a series and you're just like, well, why don't you know? You just made the last video. Well, my apologies for that. So we're just going to do this and blah, 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 blah. And I will be back once the setup is done, and we are probably at the login screen. We'll see. I actually figured that for this next clip, let's see how quickly Ubuntu 9.04 actually starts up, because you'd be quite surprised. So let's go ahead and turn on the VM and pop it in. It still does the bootloader stuff, but whatever. So obviously you should have started your stopwatches by now, because technically it is starting up right now, even though it doesn't look like it. The splash screen does come up eventually, but it doesn't show up for a few seconds actually after it says starting up. I'm really surprised. But as you see, there it is, and it just starts up quick, like boom, and you're done. And I heard the bongo drums, so yeah, quite a quick startup. And as you can see, the login screen sure has made a huge visual upgrade. And I believe back when I was a kid, and yes, I'm going to go take a trip back down memory lane, I swear I remember seeing this login screen a long time ago, back when I was first introduced to Linux. I swear I've seen this screen before. That just makes me so freaking old. I know that it's probably not the most appealing thing for this kind of a video, but seriously, like, this just makes me feel really old seeing this login screen. I don't know what it is. I didn't look at the previous ones previously, of course, because I wasn't really introduced to Linux then, but my god, this makes me feel old right now looking at this particular login screen. So anyway, I'm going to shut up and log in. Of course, you go to a black screen as the first default thing. But, anywho, apparently the DVD is still in the drive. I don't know why that is, but it is. Well, first things first, let's fix the display resolution once again, because it went back to the lovely 800 by 600. So let's go back to 1280 by 720 at 0 hertz and get on with the video. Alright, so here we are at Ubuntu 9.04 finally, installed onto the hard drive and everything. Now, just because I'm curious, ooh, there is a different wallpaper. Ooh, I think we'll actually stick with this for the rest of the video. Now, is there any other themes that we could set? I think we'll try looking at some of these new themes just because I'm kind of curious to see what they look like. So let's see, there's Dark Room. Ooh, now that gives the OS an overall dark aesthetic. I like that. There's also this, oh, it went to custom apparently. I don't know why, because I just clicked Dust and it went to custom for some reason. There's Dust Sand, which gives it a slightly different look. The default one, I believe, is Human Clear Looks. I think this is the default theme that the OS defaults to. I think we'll actually leave it on Darkroom. I think that looks pretty good. Of course, the visual effects, I don't believe they work because I don't have VMware tools installed. I hope to at some point get VMware tools working properly, and then we can look at the appearance preferences. I'm just not sure when I'm going to be able to do that, but I bet you if I were to enable them right now, they wouldn't work. But anyway, one thing I noticed, or actually a couple things I noticed when I was just looking at this before I turned on the screen recorder, there is some weird duplicate like CD DVD creator thing going on here in the applications menu. Because if I go up here to accessories, you'll see there's one CD DVD creator, alright, that's normal. But then I come down here to sound and video and I see Bracero Disc Burner, and they both have the same icon. It's like, really, what's going on here? I don't know why there's two of them, but there's two of them. It just doesn't make any sense. Otherwise, everything else pretty much looks the same, give or take maybe a couple icons here and there. Actually, OpenOffice.org drawing wasn't there before as far as I know, so let's take a look at that. Ooh, we're on OpenOffice 3. We're moving up in the world. We still got the Sun Microsystems logo. Oh, the screen resolution is too low to do this program justice, but as you can see, it opens up just fine. And here it is, OpenOffice build 3.0.1, or version 3.0.1, excuse me. There's a difference between a build number and a version number. Anyway, so that works. Also, one thing I noticed when I was in the system menu here under administration, there's a computer janitor now, which is very interesting. I didn't see that before. And there's also new system testing, which is interesting to see. The update manager got a new icon, but just like previous times of me dinking around with this thing, it doesn't work. I believe you get like the funny, there's a new distribution release at 9.10 is available. However, it doesn't work at all because nothing works anymore. So of course it's not going to work. But it's still funny to see that comes up. But yeah, let's take a look at the computer janitor real quick just because I'm curious to see what that looks at. Ooh, essential package dash is missing. There may be problems with app sources.list or package files may be missing. Interesting. So I almost wonder if that was supposed to be fixed in a later update that I don't have, or maybe my installation just broke because of VMware with its specifics or whatever. I don't frickin' know. Let's see, is there anything else in here that was new? I was going to look at the system testing, that's right. Oh! That was a really horrible noise. I am very sorry about that. Welcome to system testing. This application will gather information from your system. Then you will be asked manual tests to confirm that the system is working properly. Finally, you will be asked for the email address you use to sign into Launchpad in order to submit the information and results. If you do not have a Launchpad account, please register here. I bet you that doesn't work anymore. Let's find out together. Oh, interesting. It just redirects you to Ubuntu 1. I don't actually have an Ubuntu 1 account. I've thought about it, but I don't actually have one. But apparently that actually still, it kind of exists, which is interesting to say the least. What is this, like Firefox like 3.6 or something? I don't even know. Nope, we're still on Firefox 3.0.8. Yeah, because this came out shortly after 8.04. 8.04 got up to like Firefox 3.0.17 or something like that. So yeah, that's probably not any surprise. But anyway, thank you for taking the time to test your system. Well, I don't know if I'm actually going to do anything with this particular program. Is internet connection fully established? Oh, well, yeah, sure, why not, I suppose. Click the test button to open a text area where you type keys on your keyboard. I don't know. Running test keyboard. I'd say that works just fine, I guess. Is your Ethernet working properly? That's, I would hope it does. I just loaded a website. Please provide the email address used to sign to Launchpad to submit this information. Well, I don't know, maybe sometime later on when I look at Ubuntu 18.10 later in this year, maybe I'll make a Ubuntu 1 account or something and maybe we can ding around with that some more. I don't know. One thing I haven't been able to find yet, and I'm not sure if this is just me being blind and not sure what's going on, or if it's just simply not there, or it's hidden and I have to start logging in to some services or whatnot, but I think if it's just, yeah, that's not even the right menu. The web services thing that I was talking about earlier, I'm just kind of curious. I'm going to see if I can maybe, and this is a big maybe, see if I can start signing into some services and maybe have it work here. I don't know. So we could try going to Facebook and seeing if that loads, but I doubt Facebook is going to. Yeah, it's not happy about me running on Firefox 3.0, but that's to be expected. So I don't know. I'm going to try it, and I'll see if it actually works here. Oh, it is broken. Yeah. Let's look at Facebook, guys. It's great. Uh, that is terrible. Obviously, this is an old Firefox version, so of course it's not going to work. And please don't add me on Facebook. I've been getting a lot of hoax friend requests recently from Sexbox, and I don't want any more, please. So don't friend me on Facebook. I don't want you. I don't want it. I don't know you. So yeah. Anyway, I think other than that, what else was there that was new? I've been looking and kind of browsing through these things loosely just to see if there's anything new, and I don't really think there's much in the way that's new. There is a couple of different icons, although it might just be because of the theme I selected that maybe some of the icons changed, but the calculator certainly had a different icon to it. But one thing I was curious about, is there any difference between the CD-DVD creator? I think there still is. I think that's just the standard Ubuntu style of CD-DVD creator, whereas this is like the Nero clone, but yet they use the same icon. I don't understand how that makes any sense. So, yeah, that's just amazing. Anyway, I think that's going to wrap it up for Ubuntu 9.04. I appreciate you all taking the time to come and watch, and I guess there's the last difference here. There's no menu anymore about the shutdown options. You have to click on the option in the menu, and then you get the little dialog box here. But anyway, that's just a minor difference. So, yeah, that's it for now, guys. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video.